Hello everyone, this is the Golden Lock Picker, and this time I'm back at you with actually a bit of an unboxing. I've kind of tipped my hand here a little bit because you're going to see there's a lever lock off to the side here. It's a Squire Old English 440. That's actually not what this video is about, but I thought it'd be relevant to have that in the frame for this. This is actually packaging that I got. We can see that's how it arrived in. I have not unboxed it further than that. I just cut it open to make sure, hey, is it at least there? I don't want to show the other side because it does have private information there. But this is actually a package from a fellow YouTuber by the name of Nigbee, who is a lock picker on YouTube in the UK in England, and he was kind enough to actually make a set of lever lock turning tools and wire picks for me. And he does do this on the side. He custom makes kind of each set for people on a one-by-one basis, and he's actually conversed with me a bit. It sounds like he's actually sent to quite a few different places around the world, including Israel and to Australia, to Canada, to obviously the US, and it sounds like maybe even Brazil, some other places all over, just for hobbyists, people like us who are interested in lever lock picking. And I think the quality of his tools are fairly good from what I've seen online. I have not unwrapped this yet, so this is going to be my first reactions here as we go through this. And for those of you who don't know what lever lock picking tools are like, I thought it would be helpful to unbox this just so that way we could actually see what we're dealing with here. So if you live in North America, you probably don't see a lot of locks like this. And what this is kind of what you think of when you think of the old padlocks you see from movies, or especially anything kind of overseas, like a Sherlock Holmes movie, something kind of older. And that's because locks, before pin tumbler locks and dimple locks, one of the more prevalent locks was actually lever locks. And Squire was actually one of those companies that made lever locks, and they've actually been making them, according to the back of this lock right here, since 1780. So they've been doing this for quite a long time, and lever locks have been around for longer than that. But the way that they work is a little bit different from what we're used to. You don't see any pins sticking down in here. What's actually happening is right up above this line, there are these spring-loaded levers that this key is actually going to interact with. And as you turn this key over, it will begin to move those levers into the proper gate, allowing the bolt to slide back and the shackle to come open. So we'll move this up, turn that over, and now we can actually open the shackle. So when we turn it back over, it actually has that similar effect, only to lock it. And now as you pull that out, it doesn't open. Well, you can't just take our normal picks that we use for pin tumbler locks and effectively tension these locks and pick them, because as you stick this key through, you'll actually see it sticks out of the back here, and that's kind of by design. The way that works is that acts to help make sure that, one, that the key is actually inserted in the proper depth and also the proper angle. And as you turn that over, these individual cuts interact with those levers. And usually, not always, but usually the last notch, this one right here, actually acts to tension the lock, and some cases even throw the shackle. So obviously different mechanisms require sometimes different tools, and that's what I'm kind of excited about this package here from Nigbee over in the UK. So let's go ahead and open this up, and we'll just unwrap these one by one. There is, I believe, one special tool in here that I've asked him to make for me beyond his standard set. So we'll see what we got here. And here is the first one. And this is a tensioning tool here. And as you can see, it is a very nice kind of a steel silver rod. I think he actually uses something a little bit better than just your standard kind of a nail, but I believe he actually works on these machines and silver solders them and then tests each one of these. He actually sent me a picture, and he actually makes sure that this set, when he works through and makes a set, he tests it to make sure it can open a specific set of locks, such as the Squire 440, and I believe the Squire 660 was in that picture or that frame. And then there was also, I believe, a Chubb Cruiser, or no, sorry, not a Chubb Cruiser, an ERA insurance lock. And then there was a Chubb Battleship in that frame. And I think there may have been one other one I'm forgetting right now. So each of these turners are sort of designed for those different locks based on, you know, those specific depths. So as you would insert this turning tool in here, you then would be able to see that it sticks out the back, and then you would turn like this and tension the lock. And then this flat spot that's actually back here is where you would have your wire, your picking wire, inserted. So very, very nice turning tool there. And I believe there's one that's for the 220, and I think there's one for the 440, and then there's also a larger one. So let's see here, what do we got with this one? This is definitely a smaller one. Ah, here we go. These are our turning wires. So these are basically music wire, and he goes through and pre-bends them to an appropriate depth. And then as you can see, he's even taken a little bit of the time there and trouble to flatten, sorry, let me bring that into focus, flatten one of the edges on there so there's no burrs on there. And he actually does, I think, a fairly good job making sure those are bent to a proper angle. And as you can see, they're different depths. So this part is probably not the part that requires the, you know, the crafting quite nearly as much as this making of a turning tool. That's the part that I personally wanted to have somebody kind of give me a set to start with and give me some good guidance. I'm pretty handy in the garage. I can make a lot of things and repair a lot of things, but this was something I wanted to start with a good set of tools before I ever tried to do anything on my own. Okay, here we go. I think this is another turning tool. And, oh, this is the special one. I asked Nigbee to make this for me, and this is a very special thing for me. I shared with Nigbee that I really enjoyed seeing one of his resin inlaid handles that he made for, I believe it's DMAC, who's another lock picker, obviously a fairly large channel, and he picks a lot of lever locks and a lot of other things. But Nigbee actually was willing to make this for me in a color that I liked, which I was really happy about, because one of my other hobbies, aside from just lock picking, is I'm actually really into working with chainsaws and hand tools and making stuff. And one of the things that I made one time from a tree that I saved the wood from a cedar tree that had been severely damaged by carpenter ants all throughout it. I filled all of the holes and turned those into resin fills, and then turned the entire log into a log bench. And I really wanted something that kind of tied that other hobby into this, just to remind me to be patient as I'm learning to lever lock pick, because that other hobby took years of failure and success to finally get to a final product that was very great. So thank you, Nigbee, for making this for me. I will be holding on to this, and hopefully I will actually use this as well, specifically for this 440 lock, because I asked for this one just for that, so that way I could actually just remember that and have this be the first lock that I actually open that's a lever lock with that. So I'll keep moving in this unboxing. Really good quality on those. They're polished so nicely. I can't even begin to tell you guys just how smooth they are. Very nice job. And here's another turning tool, and this one definitely is quite a bit deeper than the other ones. So this is the previous one. So it looks like that's the 440. So I've got two 440s, the one custom one that I asked for, and I think the other one is for a 220. And then we'll save that to the end. I think this is another one of these turners here. There we go. Much larger one. Very specific angle on that. Really fascinating just how he gets just the right angle on those, knows exactly what they need to be for ergonomics. So very excited to try these out. I will leave a link to Nigbee's channel in the description of this video. You guys can feel free to subscribe and like some of his videos. He kind of does these tools in sort of one-off individual batches. He doesn't have a website or anything, so you're definitely going to have to individually communicate with him if that's something that you're desiring. But wow, look at that. That's definitely another larger turner. So that's probably, based on the depth there, I bet you that's probably for a 660 or like an either that or the ERA insurance lock. And then I believe this one is a turner for lever locks that have a post in the middle. And that's what this is right here. And how that works is, you can see there's sort of a blank key or a post there that's been milled out. And the reason for that is because on some lever locks, instead of there just being a straight hole that you could put these through, they actually already have a post, and you have to have a key that slides over the post to go into lock to be able to turn it and tension it. And then as you turn that over, then you would have this exposed space to be able to insert your wire and then pick the individual levers. But the machining on this, just how nice everything is, how well it's been polished. I can't tell you how much I appreciate Nigbee doing this. I really wanted to get into lever lock picking, or lever lock picking, however you like to refer to it as, because for me personally, I got into lock picking for other reasons. Obviously, I was inspired by Bosnia and Bill, lock picking lawyer, obviously. But I would say Bosnia and Bill made it more maybe realistic to me. He seemed like a down-to-earth kind of just normal, guy tinkering out in his garage. And You know, now that I'm at this point in my journey where I'm going through the lock-picking belts, I remembered when I was a kid and I was in my grandparents' house. They retired as farmers and moved into town, and they had a very old house that they had bought, and this house actually had lever locks throughout the house. And I always thought it was the most fascinating thing. And I told myself, oh, I'm gonna pick these locks just like you see in the movie with like a hairpin or whatever. And obviously I never could do that. But I just remember that and having that fond memory of seeing those very interesting locks and the key for them looking like a skeleton key kind of thing, and that just fascinated me. So I really wanted to get into this, and I've got this Squire 440. I have a Squire 555 on the way, and I've actually spotted in some other areas around this place where there's actually some antique lever locks that hopefully we could maybe even get into. So looking forward to that. And then this right here, interesting. Okay, how does this work? All right, so this, there we go, is a little 3D printed piece. And what we do is then take the wire from this and set our wire into there. And very carefully, oops. Make sure I don't damage that. Carefully turn that back. There we go. And now, the way that this should work is we should be able to insert our turning tool along with our wire. Granted, I believe I may have selected a wire that's way too large for this. And then you turn that over in tension. And as you tension on the lock, you should be able to begin picking. And I can already feel some of the levers, feel them springing. So this is really fascinating. So this is kind of how that works here. You have this lever, we're tensioning with it. Sorry for the blur there, let me try to refocus. And then you use this tool to turn and try to lift those levers. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I know you probably like to see me pick this, but I've literally just unboxed this for your very eyes. And that's the very first time I've ever tensioned or even touched levers intentionally. Now that I'm lockpicking officially, and now I have the right tools to actually begin this journey. And I have a really cool case too. I love the case colors. Before I was the golden lock picker, I was the blues hockey picker, and Nigbee was kind enough to send me a case there that's blue and gold, or blue and yellow there, actually blue and yellow, just like the St. Louis Blues colors. So very humbled by this, very grateful for these wonderful tools, and especially this one tool that Nigbee was nice enough to make for me here with the epoxy inlay, sort of tie back one of my other hobbies that taught me a lot about patience. So to be patient with this hobby as I begin to get into it. I know that these may not be the most hardest thing for some people to pick into, and obviously you see some videos where people just get into this stuff and they go through it so quick. But I think sometimes we always forget that everybody started somewhere, and you know, when we started somewhere, the video cameras weren't rolling, kind of like what we just had there as I was showing you that. So sometimes, you know, those moments when we're getting started can feel very frustrating. So that turning tool right there is going to be there to help remind me to be patient with that, and these things will come, because hopefully we can add more lever lock picking, or lever lock picking as you like it, to the channel. And I want you guys all to do a favor for me. If you are subscribed to my channel, please go over to Nigbee, to his channel, and I'll leave a link down below in the description. Go check him out and please subscribe to him, and just show him a little bit of love. Thanks for this amazing set and opening a new door for me to try another type of lock picking, as I think this is going to be a lot of fun and a lot of good content for the channel. So hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks.